Hi, everybody. It is Belinda here. I just thought I would pop in and do a quick book chat. I just finished a really good book that I am just, it's great to start the month off strong with a good book. And I've had it, I bought it and I've had it for for a little bit, but I've really been wanting to read it. And I can't remember who I was watching, and they talked about it and they said they really enjoyed it. So I was like, I think I'm going to pick this up for my summer, one of my summer reads. And that's The Manual for Good Wives by Lola J. I own Lola J's other one, The Attic Child. I haven't read it yet, but I am now ready to read it because I really enjoyed this book. Um, I'll tell you, I'm going to tell you spoiler free. So don't feel like you have to part ways with the video because I won't spoil it. But I just wanted to, I think my experience, share my experience with it. I really liked it. It was a dual time book, and I do a timeline book, and I do like that. I realize that when done well, it's great, and when not, it is really just a waste of your time. I like when people are able to do a dual timeline and use that mechanism to help propel you forward, kind of driving you to kind of read more than maybe you would have normally. Did definitely longer sessions with this because I was just enjoying it. It follows two main characters. One is, I have to look at my little notes so I remember the character's name. Temi is one character, and she is born into a family. I think she believes she's like an African kind of princess, and I believe it would be what we would call the Nigeria today. And so it follows her timeline, and hers is, it starts out, let me just give you that because I'll give you that. Hers is 1860, and it follows her timeline. And then the other character, her name is Landry, and Landry is in present day. And so it goes back and forth following these two women, and you don't know in the beginning of the story, what is the connection. And probably I would say about not halfway, maybe a third of the way in, the narrator, the story kind of pulls you in and gives you that answer. And I thought it was done so well. I was just so curious about both stories. I think there was equal weight. Maybe more weight was on Temi for sure. I would say, yeah. And on all honesty, I was definitely more invested in finding out what was happening in Temi's life. With Landry, she is her storyline is more current, and she's recently engaged. I'll leave it at that with her, and you get to watch her character develop, and there is definitely a character arc for her as well. I think that some of the choices in the beginning I'm like, irked me, but as she continued to go with the story, I started to really like her character as well. I love stories about strong women, and I just found Temi's character to be utterly strong under the circumstances where, in that time period, a woman's voice was really not meant to be heard. They had to follow along with what her father's says and her eventual husband says, but through it all, she just was just very clever too, about her decisions and the things that she did. Um, I love books that are historical fiction. Is still my favorite genre, and the reason why is because you can hand me a story that is not true, and you can sprinkle in and weave in, and if you're really good at it, you weave it in so well that it's part of the story. It doesn't feel like it was just stuck there as a place keeper, or just a mechanism, using a mechanism just to say that it is in this genre. I think this author did an excellent job of weaving in some historical people into the story that felt like, oh, okay, because it not only grounds the story, but it added, I'm outside, and I hope you don't hear the kids going down the street on their electric scooters. That's like the thing now. So it's like, they're loud and it's and going really fast. But anyhow, I digress. Back to our book. I really like, I lost my train of thought. I really like how she utilized that historical aspects. And one of the people that she mentioned in there that now has drawn me down a rabbit hole, and that's what I want. I want a good story that pulls me in, that makes me curious. If it makes me curious enough to go look it up, it's done its job, right? And so one of the people that she mentioned was Sarah Parker Remond, who was born in Massachusetts, in Salem, Massachusetts, and June 6th, what did I write down? 1826, and she passed away in December 13. Oh my God, I cannot read that. What number is that? 18. Ooh. Well, it looks like I can't read it. It's 18 something. I don't know. Anyway, we don't. That is not important unless you look her up. But she was obviously American born. She was she eventually moved to Britain, and she became a lecturer talking about slavery and things like that. She was an abolitionist, an activist, and she also ended up eventually in Italy and became a doctor, a physician, one of the first Black, I believe, at the time, and went on to practice for, I don't know, a couple of decades. And so I just find that I need to know more about this lady. I have been starting a list of keeping track of, especially particularly women in history that I didn't know about and that I find out, and they just become a little heroes list that I have. And so she's definitely going in there. I feel like I have heard of her, but I don't know. I don't remember it. So to me, it's new. And so I'm just like going down the rabbit hole trying to find out more information about her. I think some of the lectures or some of the things that she might have written are published. There's no memoir or biography about her, but I'm really intrigued. And I know that's not this story, but she is a character loosely in this story. And so that's how I found out about her. And I love that. The other thing that this book has that's done really well is like found family and friends. I think that, um, uh, Landry struggles from some childhood trauma that kind of gives her this insecurity about people being there for her and a worthiness issue. And it puts her into some situations that are not ideal. And she, um, you know, ends up in a scenario where she has encounters with some individuals that become really fast friends for her and people that really just care about her and generally are looking into her. So I think that, um, you know, I love stories like that because I think that it's all that, it's the beauty of community and human connection. And I think that this book did a great job with that. I really like this. I would, I know I'm not supposed to be 5-starring or starring on here, but I definitely would rate this a 5 because I think it just, every time I stop to talk about it to my husband, even to my kids in the car, I just was really animated about it. And so I am excited because I've had The Attic Child before this, obviously. I haven't read it yet. Now that one is more of I believe to be kind of a thriller/horror kind of book, I think. This one is definitely a historical fiction and it was really good. Family drama. If you like that, this is really good in that. But the character Temmie is just wow, wow. If you just see the things that she goes through, it's just incredible. So highly, highly recommend. I just wanted to get on and talk to you about it because I love when I start the month off right. And so I am ready to dive into my next summer read. But this one was really good. And I will talk to you guys soon. Let me know if you have read this. And if you haven't, you need to get on your list because I think it was really, really done well. It's fast paced. It's not really that long. Well, you know what? Didn't feel that long for me, but it's almost 400 pages. It's It's about 366 pages. So yeah, I mean, it's a decent size, but it goes so fast and it was just so enjoyable to pick up and listen to. I read some and then I listened to the audio. It was fabulous. And so that always makes things go faster too. But like I said, I didn't have with me my flags. So I knew I wasn't giving this book away. So I have dog-eared, which I don't really do in books anymore. Since there's page flags, I will use that. But I wrote a lot of things in here. And I even found some quotes that I found that were interesting that I wanted to quote. And one thing too that I wanted to say too before I go is it's really nice to Alola J is a British author as well, Black British author, and if I remember correctly, and I really like to hear stories across the pond, as I would say, with regards to Black and brown people, because in this story there is a encounter with a women's organization for women's rights, and it is very parallel to the experience Black women had faced in this country back in the time, trying to get engaged and involved with women's rights organizations. And so I really appreciated seeing that, because sometimes you think that something that was only happening in your small neck of the woods, but it is also happening in the broader context. So that was something also in there that was just, I had made a note, I had put some comments too. Yeah, I wrote in here. This book is going to no one, is staying on my shelf, but I have my notes. So I will go back through it and I will put the flags in there. I'll probably pick some nice color coordinating ones to go in here. But there's a lot of these, like I wrote, there's like in here, I wrote, like I just, whatever I had, didn't even have a highlighter. I just had a pen and I was like, look that up, look this up, look this up. So there was a lot of that towards the end, especially. And so I just thought it was so good. Let me know if you read it, and I will talk to you guys again soon. All right, bye.